Hello, everyone. We want to welcome you guys and thank you for joining us this evening as we go over some senior stuff with you guys. We're really excited for you guys in this school year. Grateful that we are here in person with you guys and ready to take on this senior year, which is a long time coming for you guys, and we want to make sure that as we go through this last year of high school and your secondary education, that we are setting you up for success for the next level, because a lot of times we want to know what's next. We will be recording this presentation and we will post that to our website. We will also post the PowerPoint so that you can have the links that are in the PowerPoint. And if you have any questions, we welcome you to post those in the chat. And we have a host of all of us. I am Miss Rayford. I am counselor for students with the last names A through CAR. Many of our other counselors are here and we'll be answering those questions in the chat. We also have Dr. Jessica Robinson, and she is our college and career counselor from Collin College. She is here on campus with us full time. She'll be hosting this presentation with me, and we will both be available also at the end of this presentation if you have additional questions when we are done. We are going to go ahead and get started. Hopefully, the website will be the Hebron counselor website, and we will post those tomorrow. So WebEx will record, and then they'll send me the recording, and then we'll have it posted to the site. Okay, thanks so much. Okay, we're going to get started. Alrighty. I'm sorry, I can't see it right now, so I'm trying to just get it in my view. Can someone tell me if you can see the PowerPoint?
No, not yet, Latasha.
Yeah, okay, let me try sharing again.
You're good.
It's there now?
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we want to make sure we remind everybody is that we still have all of our STAR requirements, and I know that there was some confusion with COVID. If you took or had a course in the spring of 2019, or 2020 really, then you would have been exempt from those exams. Other than that, like last year, if you were a virtual learner, you will still need to take that exam. So if you were not here for your U.S. history exam last year, you will be contacted by our testing coordinator to make up that exam. And so, and our testing coordinator on our campus is Miss Kelly Green. She will be contacting you for a makeup date on that, and that is a requirement for graduation. So we want to make sure that you understand that that is still a requirement. We know that some of you were virtual last year, but you are still going to be expected to have that as a requirement of graduation. All right.
Welcome, y'all. My name is Jessica Robinson, and I'm so excited to be here tonight. So I'm going to talk to y'all for a little while about college applications. So if nothing else, if y'all take nothing else away from this presentation, we want to encourage y'all that most college applications are open now. But what does that mean on the other side? Well, that means that we really want y'all to get online and know your deadlines. We really don't want y'all to not be able to apply to a college or university simply because that deadline has passed. They're very public about these things. So again, get on there and look up those deadlines. There are a couple of different ways to apply. For most public and private schools in Texas, there is an Apply Texas website. Literally, goapplytexas.org. And most public colleges and some private schools in Texas will take that application. Many out-of-state and private schools, as well as some Texas schools, also subscribe to the Common App. Both Apply Texas and Common App are big application websites where you can select the schools that you want the same application to go to. Now, some schools post separate applications on their individual college and university admission sites, not using Apply Texas or the Common App. So what do we want y'all to avoid? We want y'all to avoid choosing to apply to all three. I would suggest getting out a table and figuring out what applications are most common between the schools that you want to apply to and get the most bang for your buck. Also, please check the college admissions checklist to ensure you've submitted all the required documents, because each institution is going to require slightly different things. So getting prepared ahead of time can be most helpful. All right, so maybe some of y'all are sitting here thinking, well, where should I even apply to? We typically recommend that y'all apply to 4 or more colleges. And we recommend 4 because we recommend at least one safety school. That's a college that you're confident you can get into. A lot of community colleges, including Collin College, will accept anyone who applies who has a high school diploma. Well, I bet some of y'all are thinking, well, if I don't really want to go there, then why should I apply? Because you at least have one backup plan in your back pocket. Now, on the other side, we suggest that you apply to at least one REACH school. That's a school that you're not sure that you'll get into, you'd really like to go, but it's somewhat of a stretch. We always encourage students to go out for their REACH school because we never know who is in that room making those college decisions, and we never want y'all to discount yourselves from an opportunity you may have. Then in the middle, we suggest that you'd apply to at least 2 good fits. Those are colleges that we define as you having a pretty good chance of getting into, but you're not sure about. If you only want to go to one school, it maybe in your head doesn't make sense to apply to 4. Well, here's why we say 4. Maybe you don't want to go to your safety, but you get in there. Maybe you don't get into your REACH. Well, that's part of life. So that leaves you with 2 good fits. 2 more chips in the game to reduce those nerves so that you'll know that you have more than likely 3 options to choose from. So there are some things about applications that most college applications have in common, and we've divided them into 2 different categories, a community college application and a 4-year university application. Most community college applications will require the application themselves. Typically, it's Apply Texas, but it's almost always online. They always want a high school transcript too with a graduation date. And we'll get into this a little bit later, but there's a way to get around that graduation date if you haven't graduated from high school. Community colleges also in the state of Texas want proof of meningitis vaccination. If you're looking at Collin or Dallas Community College, they typically want to see a score on what they call the Texas Success Initiative. Sometimes the SAT or the ACT can count for that requirement as well, and we'll go into that in a little more detail in a bit. Community colleges also typically have our students do a new student orientation, and it's typically online. They want our students to do a campus safety training. Now, if you were a dual credit student, no need for further permission slips once you graduate. Your high school counselor doesn't need to give you permission anymore. If you are still a dual credit student, you'll need that permission slip every semester until you graduate from high school. Now, if you were an AP student, you will need to get those scores sent from College Board to the community college after 3 credit hours have been earned. Again, you can send them as soon as those test results come in, but they won't be applied to that degree until 3 credit hours have been earned. Now, on the other hand, if we look at the 4-year university, the numbers highlighted in blue are the differences. So they'll always need an application, For in-state public schools, it's always apply Texas or the Common App, but check for those schools that have their own application website. Now, there's usually also a $50 to $100 non-refundable application fee. They do have their own assessment testing, which is typically SAT or ACT, not as much on the TSI. Still need that high school transcript? Now, what's majorly different is these next 5 bullet points. They typically include an admissions essay, letters of recommendation, a resume. They have their own proof of meningitis vaccination process, and if you were a dual credit student, you will need to turn in both Collin as well as Hebron transcripts. And the AP rule still typically applies to those colleges and universities. There are also, in terms of our college application timeline, there's different vocabulary we need to know. And it breaks down into 4 different terms. So we've got our early decision. Now, some of you may know where you want to go, and if that school accepts you, you are willing to go there and tell the other schools that you've applied to, no thanks, I already know where I'm going. That's called early decision. Now, you do pay a small fee to do that, and the applications are due sooner than all of your other applications that you're thinking of applying to. Now, the question always comes up, what happens if I don't want to go there in the end? Well, you forfeit that fee, and that fee is not as much as a full year of tuition, but it is more than that application fee. It's also a pretty firm no if you say no to them. Early action means then I'm not committing myself to you if you accept me. It is a little bit later than early decision, but it is saying I am very, very committed, so please, please choose me sooner than the others. After that, around November 15th comes priority. It's not binding at all. It just says in the stack of applications, when you consider everyone, move me to the top. And then we have our regular decision applications, which are usually from January 1st to March 15th. So if you ask us, which one should I go for? We're going to tell you it really depends on how interested you are in the institutions that you are applying to.
Okay. We want to remind you that your application is a reflection of yourself. So you want to be professional. It's important that you make this look like I'm an adult now. Have someone proofread for spelling. If you're not sure, we want you to look it up. Take the time to do that. A lot of times your teachers don't penalize you for spelling, but maybe the colleges are going to look at it and say they didn't put time into this. So we need you to really put time into that. And then if you don't already have one, create an appropriate email address. So many times we have our students send us these emails from their personal emails, and they're like, love me some kitty cats 902. And we want you to kind of just find a new, fresh, professional, personal email that you can use for this process. And I would recommend that just even when you're searching for jobs and things like that and scholarships, so that you have that email and it looks professional to the person who is using it and sending emails out to you. And then always make an appointment with us if you need help. We are here for you. There are QR codes in your classrooms to sign up to see your counselor. So if you need to make an appointment with one of us, please do that.
So we get a lot of questions about college application essays, tips, and tricks. Common questions include the following, and honestly, y'all, they're very, very common between these applications. Tell us your story. What unique opportunities or challenges have you experienced throughout your high school career that have shaped who you are today? Or most students have an identity, an interest, or a talent that defines them in an essential way. Tell us about yourself. You've got a ticket in your hand. Where will you go? What will you do? What will happen when you get there? There are 2 ways to answer these questions. You can tell your story in bullet point form and not make it very unique or very special. You can list facts about yourself and tell these admissions counselors a list of facts. Or you can instead use that essay to do more than what was on your actual resume or what was on your application themselves. What's the ultimate goal here? Well, it's to link your personality with your story, with the mission of the institution. You want to make them want to include you in their student body in a way that jumps off the page. Like Ms. Rayford said, you need to write well with good grammar and without any typos. But really what they're after, they want you to demonstrate mature, appropriate self-reflection, as well as passion and personality. You can look up their institutional mission on their About Us, and you start to search for those keywords. Put them in to your own words, and then think about great examples that you can use that show how those qualities have come alive. Again, that's a winning essay, and we are here to help you if you need help in thinking up examples to use.
Okay, so once you submit your application to the colleges, they are going to want to have a copy of your HHS transcript. Um, so those are all online at this point, and the website is here. It is through Scriborder. Our registrars will process those requests in the order that they receive them, and they tend to get through those in a timely manner. The only time where they can kind of get held up is maybe when they're waiting for final grades to post from a 9 weeks. And so they've got to wait for the district to run everything and rerun rank and things like that. And so it may take them a little bit. So watch those deadlines and things. And if you're wanting those new grades on there, you may even put that in a note when you submit that request. Make sure you put your cell phone number on that request, because you will get a digital receipt that once your transcript has been sent from the system. Your first 5 transcripts are free. And so when you're going through that process, it's going to show a fee, but then once you go in to submit, it will take the fee away for your first 5 that you have submitted. So don't worry about that fee if you've never requested a transcript before. Otherwise, after that, they're going to be $5 each. The final transcript, which you will send at the end of the year once you've decided what college you are attending, is also free, so you don't need to save one for that one. If you want to apply to 5 schools and send 5 transcripts for free, that's fine. You'll get that last one, that final one, sent for free, so don't worry about that. They go out digitally. It can sometimes take colleges up to 2 weeks to download your transcript to their system. It can sometimes take longer. Sometimes they're at a peak point. If you waited kind of up to the deadline, well, you're probably not the only one. And there are a lot of students submitting their transcripts to them, but they are going to process them as soon as possible. But once we submit them to them, there's nothing we can do to make them upload them to your application faster. Okay, so you'll just have to be patient on that. So apply first, because you want them to be able to attach that transcript to your file, submit your application, then the transcript request you'll send through Scriborder, and then our registrars will get that sent out for you as quickly as possible.
But wait, Dr. Robinson, I'm confused. I haven't completed high school, and you just told me that the final transcript has to show a graduation date. Well, here's the good news. Most colleges and universities will accept a high school transcript without a graduation date on it for the application process. There's a separate form, typically called a conditional registration contract, that you can fill out, which simply says my transcript is on the way and my high school will send it once I have completed graduation. So the bottom line, send what you have now, fill out that transcript waiver, and submit the final transcript upon high school graduation.
Okay, rank in class. So our students have the opportunity to opt in or opt out of class rank. So your window is going to be coming up in this month, September 15th through the 30th. The default is for the rank to post onto your transcript. And if you are in the top 10% of your class, your rank will automatically post, because that gets you automatic admission to many of the public colleges in Texas. So if you are in the top 10%, you can't opt out. But if you are kind of in that bubble range and you don't know, whether or not you should leave it on or not, you need to do some research, okay? Go to those college websites, contact the college representatives, see how that might affect admissions for you, see if that might affect scholarships. Because once you make this decision, this is the final decision, and that will last throughout the rest of this year. So as you are sending out your transcripts, it's either going to have your rank on there or it's not going to. And I would also say this, because I've had this happen in the past. If you are weighing whether or not to post or not post your rank onto your transcript, do not request your transcript until you've made your final decisions. Do not ask your counselor to do the Common App part of their portion on your application, because we have to upload transcripts as a part of our Common App side. So we don't want to post anything that you don't want on your application. So if you would do us that favor and not do any requests until you've made that decision. Now, if you're good, you know you want your rank on there and your rank is on there, or if you had already decided in the last rank window, no big deal. You know, no worries. But if you are still debating that and y'all are discussing that as a family and you're still doing your research, please hold off and wait until you decide before posting that, okay? And then we can always resend for those of you who need it to be resent, okay? You can visit the LISD website for more information on rank. And also, this opportunity is a district-wide thing. The announcement for the window will open. It will be opened by LISD and not Hebron, and then it will be closed by LISD. So we are not necessarily in control of this. It is something that is district-wide, and so please make sure you watch your deadline and get that done if that's something that you want to do within that time frame, because that is not in our control. That is a district-wide window.
This is so fun. College research and visits. You know, we have a couple things coming up, but I would encourage each family to at least go visit one college or university campus that y'all would really see your child or yourself at. I think it is an amazing opportunity for y'all to be on that campus and for y'all to really see what it's like. There are virtual college visits that are going on in light of the COVID virus that went across our nation a couple years ago, and you need to visit those campus admissions websites to participate in those sessions. Many campuses are also, though, offering smaller on-campus visits and tours, and the websites of those admissions offices will have that information. Seniors also are given 2 school days per academic year to participate in those college visits. They don't count as absences on the attendance record as long as we have that proper documentation in order. But I want to make you all aware of 2 different events that we are specifically hosting. The Nortex College Fairs, hosted by UNT, TWU, and NCTC, will have over 100 colleges and universities there for y'all to walk around, get some information about. That's on September 13th from 6:30 to 8:30 at that Golden Triangle Mall in Denton. There's also some digital college fairs going on linked at that website as well if you'd rather take some more time at home and explore your options. Again, that's September 13th from 6:30 to 8:30 in person or online.
Yep, and as we said, this PowerPoint will be posted to the Hebron Counseling website, so you can go ahead and start registering for that. And that way, really what you'll do is you'll be able to scan, and colleges will scan your QR code, so you won't have to fill out those cards that say, email me information. They can just send it to you, and that will make that step easier. All right, so a couple of resources that you have at your fingertips are Choices 360. This is a program that our district subscribes to that allows you to do research on colleges, majors, careers, and scholarships. It's located in the L Hub and it's called Choices 360. You've probably done this and throughout middle school and high school. It's a single login, the same login you used to log in with anything else for the district. You use that same login, and you can go through and do any of the research. And I think it's really cool that they do have a lot of national scholarships on their site that you can research and apply for. And we know people who've gotten those scholarships. So we encourage you to use that resource. Also, Texas On Course. This is a resource through the state of Texas to help with college and career planning as well. It's something that we're probably going to move to in the future. We haven't done that fully, but there are a lot of resources really specific for Texas students. And so we encourage you to go to that website. And if you are still doing some of this research, we recommend visiting these two resources. All right, recommendation letter requirements. So we've already gotten a few requests here in the counseling office. We want to write a recommendation letter for you if your college requires a recommendation letter. On our website, we have the counselor recommendation packet. You will either download it or print it, and then you can either email it back to us or drop it back by the counseling office. There is a page for the student, a front and back page for the student to fill out, and a front and back page for the parent to fill out. I'll be honest with you guys, I really enjoy, sometimes students are really good at filling this out, but sometimes they're not that great on bragging on themselves, but parents are usually really good about bragging on their kiddos. And so I always enjoy reading what parents have to say about their kids, because it usually gives me more like the braggy, I'm so proud of my kid because they've done these things. And teachers are welcome. You are welcome to use that packet to send to your teachers as well. They just tend to know, they speak from the classroom perspective, and we tend to speak from the overall perspective when we're doing our recommendations. We request that those packets be given to us at least 2 weeks before it is due. And then really, like I said, consider deadlines, because we want to meet your deadline just as much as you do, but we want to do a good job also. So make sure you give us what we need to get this done in a timely manner. And if you wait to the last minute, you're unfortunately going to get like a last minute letter, and we don't want to do that. Like, I take pride in what I do. I write every rec letter from start. I don't use a form. And so I want to write a good letter for you. I want to support your application, but I also need those supporting documents to help do that. Another great tool is your resume. There are templates in Word, and they're really easy to just go in and fill in your educational resume, even your work history, some of your awards or accomplishments, just to kind of give a rundown. That's always really helpful for us to have that. We will either mail those or upload those on Common App or Coalition or whatever site you're using. Some of the UT and A&M and Baylor will send us links where we can upload those. But we will upload those directly from ourselves. We don't give them to students or parents. In the event that maybe you have a scholarship packet, because that may be something that comes along later down the line this year, we would ask that you would bring the entire packet to us. We will stuff our letters into that application document, and we will mail it off for you. But if you have questions about that, just let us know. These are confidential documents. We do ask that you waive your right to see the letter in Common App. We also have an acknowledgement on our rec packet that we ask that you sign, because we want to be able to speak freely about you. We write very good letters for our students, and so I don't think you need to fear that we wouldn't write a good letter on your behalf. So we just ask that you waive that so that we can be free to write a good letter for you. Because otherwise we're kind of restricted, because we don't know what kind of legal things that can happen within that process if you were to pursue seeing those things.
Okay, I've noticed a couple questions in the chat about what to include in resumes. Here we go. So many colleges and scholarships will require a resume, and we want to encourage y'all as students and as families to see this as the start of your professional resume. I would encourage you to keep track of extracurriculars, awards that you've received, clubs, organizations that you have been involved in, and community service. We encourage y'all to list your community service out just like you would a job. Your leadership positions can also be included, but you really need to think, what story can I tell this university about how I participated in high school? I've even seen students list 3 key skills from each experience that they learned so that they can present themselves as a most well-rounded applicant as possible. But we also encourage students to think about making this look as much like a job-related resume as possible. And again, we are always here to help teach students how to write that resume. So we mentioned testing as a requirement at the beginning of this presentation. There are 3 tests that I will go over, and then there's an additional one that Ms. Rayford will go over. The SAT, the ACT, and the TSI. College Board and ACT testing are adding and adjusting dates for SAT and ACT. You can register at those following 2 links. Now, we really want to stress that though some universities are offering test optional opportunities for admissions, test scores are probably required for competitive scholarships, honors programs, so I think it's very wise for y'all to speak with the university for specifics and ask them how much they're weighting those SAT or ACT scores. Now, the TSI is a little bit different. It has to be taken prior to enrollment in a Texas public college, university, or technical school. Now, it does help colleges determine whether or not developmental education is required, but they do offer exemptions. The basic principle is that if you have an SAT or an ACT score that is high enough, it will trump the TSI score. Now, if those scores are not high enough, the TSI becomes a requirement. So it is important to pay attention to see if you've met those exemptions. Also, for the students who have done dual credit, if you have gotten a C or higher in a reading and writing intensive class, then you do not have to take the TSI if you want to take more reading and writing intensive classes. If you've taken math intensive classes and you've gotten a C or higher, you do not need to take the TSI for further math intensive classes. But always check with your college or university admissions counselor to make sure that you do not need to take any further testing.
Okay, and then the ASVAB. ASVAB stands for Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. We will be offering this on campus on November 18th and again in the spring on March 29th. The registration is currently open for the November offering, and you can come visit the counseling office to get signed up or send your child down. We're happy to help them get signed up. This is really for students who are interested in going into the military, but there is a lot of career interest questions on there. So sometimes students like to take it for that reason as well. If you want to take the ASVAB outside of our window, the offerings that we are having, then we recommend you contact a recruiter, a military recruiter of any branch that you're interested in, and schedule a test with them. So we will have a couple of offerings here on campus this year, but then if you are really interested in enlisting in one of those branches, then we recommend reaching out to a recruiter.
Before I begin this one, next week, September 15th, we will be having an entire virtual event all about financial aid. So right now, I'm just going to give a quick cursory overview. We talk a lot about the FAFSA. That's the free application for federal student aid. Both the student and the parent have to apply for a PIN to use the application, and we would suggest applying for that PIN as soon as possible. Now, that application is available to complete starting on October 1st, which is that first full weekend of October. Now, Texas has its own application, which we call the TAFSA. It's for non-citizens who are Texas residents. Again, we have that virtual event on September 15th at 6 p.m. where we will go over everything financial aid related. We also want to remind y'all that the University Financial Aid Office for the schools that you are looking to attend will help answer any questions if you are a prospective student. Again, these financial aid counselors really want to help any student, from prospective student to student who has graduated from their institution. We always get the question about scholarships too. School-specific scholarships can be found on their university websites. Some of those scholarships are applied for with that application, or they have a separate scholarship application. There are also some other scholarship search websites. FastWeb, scholarships.com, Career One Stop. These websites are great, and we do think that FastWeb is probably the gold standard, but the bottom line is that a website like this should never charge you an application fee to join. That's when you start knowing it's kind of a scam. Louisville Education Foundation is also a scholarship that y'all can apply for that looks at just high school students in the Louisville School District. Those are starting to become available in November, and they close in January. Finally, and we'll go into this in more detail next Wednesday, but there are scholarships for district programs and organizations available as well, which are more private scholarships that lie outside the university and outside the government as well.
Oops. I'm sorry. Okay, this is just a slide for our event that we will have next Wednesday. There's a link to the meeting and the password, so we hope that you can join us next week. Somebody's maybe not muted. If you could mute yourself, that would be great.
Latasha, I'm going to mute everyone, and then you unmute yourself.
Okay.
You try it. It didn't work for me. Try to mute.
I'm not able to because I'm in the presentation right now. So, okay, hopefully they'll figure it out and they'll mute themselves. Okay, so NCAA, if you or your child is interested in competing in NCAA athletics, this is a separate process from getting admitted to the university of their choice. So each university has a set of admissions requirements, and then they have an NCAA requirement that the student will have to meet as well. So again, you'll have to send your transcript to NCAA. You'll have to send any test scores that you take to NCAA. You need to get not only your coaches, but also the admissions counselors at the college about what you'll be doing, apply, what major you'll be declaring, and if there's any stipulations that you're going to need to meet in order to meet the campus requirements as well. So I have had students who've had to take additional courses their senior year because they didn't necessarily have what the college wanted. Maybe they met NCAA requirements but didn't meet college requirements. So it's just something to be aware of, and we can definitely look at like your student spring schedule. If
Ms. Rayford.
Yes. Yes. I can't hear. Okay, I'll keep going. But like I said, if for some reason you are questioning NCAA, please reach out to us and we can take a look at your transcript. We don't always know who's planning to do Division I or Division II sports. And so if you will reach out to your counselor, we can take a look at your transcript and kind of go over things with you and make sure you're meeting all those requirements needed. But typically, if you're meeting graduation requirements, you're going to meet the NCAA course requirements. Hopefully, you're also meeting the GPA requirements. All right, top 10%. As I mentioned earlier, if you are in the top 10% of your class, then you will meet automatic admission for most public universities in the state of Texas. There is one exception, and that is the University of Texas. If you are are in the top 6% of our class, then you will receive automatic admission into the University of Texas at Austin. Some students may be offered like a CAP program or a PACE program for UT. And so if that's something that you want to do to try to go meet UT's expectation to get in there as your final school, then we recommend pursuing that. Also, this is a special program with the University of North Texas, Eagle Advantage. The top 20% is automatically admitted. So. All right, and then selective services. So all of our male students aged 18 or close to 18, you will need to get registered with selective services. This could affect financial aid for for college. So we definitely want to make sure you take care of this requirement. So that's just a reminder out there, but you've got some time to do that. You just want to make sure you do that before you graduate. Also, most of our seniors are becoming 18. They're now eligible to vote. We encourage them to vote. Be a part of what we're here for is just to make sure that they're participating citizens in our society. And so that's one of the things that we encourage them to do is serve as a U.S. citizen.
Okay, we wanted to present this timeline to y'all so that y'all can have a good idea of what to do each month. And as we answer y'all's questions, this will be in the background. We want y'all to think of September as the decision month. Decide on what types of institutions you want to attend. Make sure you either take or get registered for the appropriate tests and timeline out your application dates and deadlines. In October, we want y'all to think about this as application month. Ideally, you would have all your colleges and university applications complete by the end of October. But if y'all need a little bit more time to decide, we seriously encourage y'all as a family to think about two things. First, get that FAFSA completed in October. And second, get a rough draft of all your application materials together. I guess the third part would be to ask your recommenders for letters as well. Now, if it's November and you want to do early decision, get those applications submitted. If not, and you want to wait a little bit longer, then really use November to edit those application materials. Make sure to, along the way, you're gathering all your transcripts for your applications. Dual credit, if you've transferred between institutions, things like that. December, then, if you are waiting, do a final edit of those application materials, and then take advantage to do informational interviews with admissions staff or advising.
Okay, so we just want to remind you of some of the resources that you have on campus. Miss Stephanie Ballet, she is our student assistance counselor. She helps with social emotional concerns. She's here for our students. I'm sure this doesn't come as a surprise to you guys, but senior year can sometimes be a difficult year of transition. So it becomes, okay, what next for some of our students? If they need to process that, talk that out, let us know. We're happy to help with that. Dr. Robinson, who's been on hosting with me, but she's here 5 days a week on campus, so she is always here to help with students that are in college. We will also have UNT G-Force here, and they will help with anything college as well. They'll be here on certain days of the week. I have a little slide for them, but they will help our students with college applications, completing FAFSA, searching for scholarships, completing work applications, anything they need help with to prepare for the next step. They are happy to help, and we have signups ready for them to do that as well. All right, And so if you need more information, feel free to reach out to your counselor. Feel free to reach out to Dr. Robinson. We are here to help. We're happy to help. We're excited to help our seniors with this step. And we're going to stay on for questions. We want to thank you guys for attending. Sorry for some of the noise issues. I'm going to back out of the presentation to see if I can fix that, and then but we are all on and we're ready to answer questions if you have questions for us. Thank you so much for coming. Questions?
So the date to request transcripts, there's no deadline for us. It's so for example, if the college deadline is November 1, I would request a transcript no later than a week before November 1, for example. So there's no deadline for transcript requests. How do you opt out of ranking? The district will send you an email via e-blast that will give you specific directions to opt out for rank.
And if I can elaborate on that, that note is only sent to the parents, and that form is only accessible through the parent side of Skyward. So students will not receive that message, and they will not see that form there. I know some of our students and parents sometimes use the same account, like everybody uses a parent or a student account. It only goes through the parent side.
And also, please don't forget to complete the very brief survey. I posted the link in the chat. I can post it again.
So with the opt-out, you really need to make that decision final, because it's not much of an option to change it once you decide. So we want you to make that a final decision by September 30th, and that is how your transcript will look for the rest of the year. With the FAFSA, yes, you will need to fill out. The FAFSA is for financial aid from the colleges, and they can sometimes also award, and we're going to go into the FAFSA a lot next week, but yes, they can award grants, scholarships, and money like loans through and work study through FAFSA. And so we encourage you to fill it out, and we encourage you to, once you leave here and you're still just at the college, you're going to fill that out every year. The counselors will hang out here just a little bit longer, but the meeting is going to be closed at this time. If you have questions, like I said, feel free to stay on. We'll stay on a few more minutes, but that's it for the presentation, and we do thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
And yes, this meeting is being recorded. We will post it on Hebron's website.
Yes, as well as the PowerPoint.
So yes, the current rank from this past school year in the summer will remain the same until the end of the first 9 weeks. So the new ranking information and new GPA information is typically up to 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how smoothly it goes with the district running GPA and rank. So I would just say toward the end of October, you will see the new GPA and rank information.